Hello, social media friends. Good afternoon or good morning, depending on where you are watching today's episode. In today's episode, I've invited a friend, a connection, actually a family member. His name is Brian Hunnell to join me in today's episode so that he can share with me and the rest of you what it feels like to fly luxury with his business called Rennia. So give me 1 second as I ask him to come into the studio. Hello, Brian.
Good afternoon, William. How are you, sir?
I'm good. I see you are not flying 50,000 feet in the air, 1,000
No.
miles per hour. You're kind of grounded at home.
Yes, sir. That's correct.
Perfect.
Just started yesterday.
Okay, so you've got some downtime.
Yes, sir. I do.
All right, perfect. So first thing first, Brian, thank you for sharing your time with me. I know your time is precious. Thank you for sharing your time with me, being a guest on my video podcast here. What I like to do is get the audience members who are watching this to learn more, not just about Brian Hunnell, but about your unique set of skills, flying charter jets. I mean, it sounds really cool stuff. So there's a part of me where, because I know you, I have a perception, but for my audience members who may not know you yet, and they certainly have never experienced flying in a private charter jet. Come on, Brian, tell us more. So I'm going to lead us off with the first question.
Sure.
Can you describe your journey, Brian, as to how you got into the business of flying luxury with Rennia?
Absolutely. And thank you for having me on today. I appreciate that, William. I started out in the Navy back in 1993 as an enlisted person. I fixed airplanes before I broke them, as I like to joke. And I did 4 years in the Navy, got out, went to college for a while, and was in the process of becoming a police officer when my uncle, who's retired now, had mentioned something about flying. And growing up as a child, my father had gotten his private pilot's license just for fun. I'd always been interested, but never thought I could quite afford to be a pilot. At that one point, my uncle and I discussed things, and he made me an offer that he would finance my ability to be able to go to school to be a pilot. Wow. And after doing some work and accepting that, I went through all the stuff. Unfortunately, went through 9/11, of course, back in 2001. And the market was, of course, at that point in time, not really available for commercial pilots. Hung on until about 2006 doing instruction and other things out there in life. And from about 2007 till 2013 was doing a lot of other things in life besides flying. In 2013, I got back into it full time with a small corporation, flying a single engine Cirrus, which is a small private airplane. Did 5 years with them. And after getting enough experience with them, I moved on to getting some jets. And I've been flying jets ever since 2018. And it's been a bit of a journey, but it's been a lot of fun. And I've chosen to stick with private jets mostly because of the stability in them. Especially nowadays, there's a lot of people that want to fly privately. Post-COVID and everything else, of course, has made it where people really want to be able to fly privately to enjoy themselves, not to worry about masks or getting sick or anything else, as well as having their own time schedule.
Right.
So that's about, more or less my journey over the past 20 plus years of doing this. I'm currently a captain at Rennia Aviation, flying what's called a Falcon 2000. It's a airplane that's a super mid-size. It's pretty good size airplane. It'd be comparable to about a G4 size, if everybody knows what a Gulfstream is. So about a G4 size. We carry 10 passengers in luxury. And of course, I have myself, my first officer, and typically also have a cabin attendant aboard that acts as not only for safety, but also acts as the person who takes care of anything that the passenger might need.
Wow. So I loved how you kicked off describing your journey, which is I worked on them, I fixed them, I broke them, and now I'm flying them.
Yes.
I love that. Okay.
Thank you.
in your opinion, Brian, as a pilot, let's start with that. In your opinion, what are the pros versus cons of flying as a captain, whether it be a big box airplane for commercial airlines, let's say, versus your unique situation today?
The pros for me are I get to see a lot of airports that commercial aviation side you would never see, as far as Delta, American, places like that. They never get to go to see those airports because there's just no service available to those particular airports. So that's one of the pros that I see about this, as well as the fact that my schedule, for the most part, is a lot more stable. I'm also, because I'm more or less senior to things, we all have our own same schedule. We have what's called a 14 on 14 day off schedule. So rather than the airlines are union based, and again, nothing wrong with the unions, but if I graduated and went to school there tomorrow, from school there, I would end up being in the bottom of the pile. You could be a national astronaut that has thousands of hours and be one of the best pilots out there. And if you choose to work for the airlines by seniority, you're going to the bottom of the pile. So therefore, you're just going to have the worst schedule out there. So that's the one pro of my side I see versus a con of the airline side. Obviously, the biggest thing about our side, con wise, is the cost. We're obviously a lot more expensive than the average airline. Your average airline ticket's probably $500 to $1,000. We charge somewhere around the $5,000 an hour just to be able to fly for us. So your average flight coast to coast is anywhere from $25,000 to $50,000, depending on what it is you're wanting to go and how long it's going to take us and what you're wanting to haul, et cetera, whatever else. But again, that's one of the things you're paying for, is that to have that opportunity, and also the fact that we leave whenever you want to leave, unlike the scheduled airlines. So I always joke that the airlines are a bus, so you're basically a bus driver whenever you're flying for Delta or American or something like that. Whereas I'm a limo driver. Mine's a little smaller, but it's a lot fancier, and it's literally private, and it's we go in places that you want to go and leave when you want to leave.
Yeah. So for your clients that value their time, that value flexibility, and that value being somewhat in control of their destiny, your solution is the best one. Put aside the money for a second. Your solution is the best one because in their mind, there's a value to their time.
Absolutely.
It should not be wasted flying in the bus, as you said.
Yes. Well, not only that, but let's think about it. If you have a meeting coming out of Chicago going to Boston, for example, you're going to probably leave 2 hours before your flight just to get to Chicago, get through the security lines, get checked in, everything else. And then, of course, if there's any kind of weather delays or any kind of mechanical breakdowns, or the pilots, for whatever reason, that they got sick or they timed out, they had to find somebody else to be able to fly it. We have all those potential risks too, but we mitigate those by having extra staff available, other airplanes available, et cetera, whatever else to cover things if necessary, because we realize that your time is valuable. And our success rate for mission completion is a whole lot higher than most of the average airlines are. And again, I think against the airlines, it's just the fact that we understand that it's a lot of money on the line. So we do our best to be able to provide that service for you no matter what we have to do in order to make that happen. As a result, also the fact, because we have, of course, just like the big airplanes do, we have Wi-Fi. So if you have to make a phone call or you have to make, a video conference or emails, et cetera, whatever else, while you're in flight, you have that capability of doing that.
Wow, that's nice. So I must ask you this question.
Sure.
I don't know that I have the skill. I don't think I ever had the skill to fly an airplane, because I know you have to have like great vision. You can't be afraid of heights. See, that's my problem, right? And
you'd be surprised.
Really? Okay. Well.
There are quite a few pilots that don't like to be personally high, as in, like, let's say you're climbing a tree or rock climbing, things like that. They don't have that. They don't like doing that kind of thing. But as up in the air, obviously you're enclosed in a full airplane, like a car, and you're strapped in. So as a result, that fear doesn't come out quite as much as you think it would.
Really? Okay.
Yes.
You tease me a little bit there.
No, it's very true.
Do you see right now, Brian, that for the somewhat experienced pilots, are they just kind of lined up knocking on the door trying to get to your side of the business? What can you tell me about that?
I think it varies between the two. Right now, of course, where both the airlines and the private side are both essentially begging for pilots.
Right.
There's a lot of people out there who want to be able to use both.
Okay.
As a result, the competition is the pendulum, I guess, is swung towards the pilot side. Before, there was a lot of pilots, not very many jobs, like post 9/11, for example.
Right.
So as a result, a lot of airlines and things can be very choosy as to who they choose. Now, they're more and more getting to the point where they're like, hey, we would really like to have you on our team. And I have a lot more offers coming to me at this point. Of course, as I get more and more senior in my flying time, that also helps with the situation. But just the economy booming like it is has the effect of people constantly calling and saying, hey, come work for us today. And it's like, well, I'm currently happy where I'm at. Thank you. I'm also under contract currently. So until I choose to move on, then I'm going to, try to mitigate how much I move. Because just like any other job, if you change jobs enough, people start going, why are you changing jobs so much? What's going on here? So sure. I do try to make my best moves as I can and go from there. My personal ultimate goal would be probably to end up at UPS or FedEx.
Really?
Flying. Yeah. And the reason why is because their pay scales are higher than the airlines are. It's essentially the same type of situation, but of course you're moving packages under schedule, not people. Okay. And ironically, because they're insured so much higher for the amount of packages they carry, and the cargo they're carrying can be a lot more expensive. So as a result, the UPS, FedEx, places like that are a lot choosy. They're much more picky about who they're going to pick to be able to fly. But that's my ultimate goal. If I have my choice, is to end up at FedEx or UPS and finish till I'm 65, and then go from there.
Yeah, I guess that stands to reason, Brian, given how, let's keep it to the U.S., how many households are just online shopping. They expect the, next day delivery.
Correct.
So, right. That's when and where your experience, your talent is a hot commodity right now.
Yes, absolutely. And that's the thing, is that obviously with COVID and everything else, people are doing a lot more online shopping. And I think we've sort of transitioned to that and stayed towards that, where we're staying out of a lot of box stores in general. So as a result, they do need to be able to have those packages. And of course, people want everything now. So
yeah, right.
Absolutely. You're right.
Right on. Can you share, if you can,
Sure.
Can you share any unusual flight trip in your mind? Unusual.
I would say probably the most unusual one I've had was with some friends in a private small twin engine airplane. They had just purchased this airplane. It was an older airplane, and we were out sort of, it's kind of like, the teenagers getting together in their first new or used car to them, of course, the new to them car. Okay. And we had flown down to Birmingham, Alabama, out of Chattanooga, Tennessee. And we were just out basically seeing how the airplane is going to fly, go get some lunch. Got done with lunch, come back. And on the way back, the right engine started leaking oil oil substantially. So of course, immediately we started heading towards the small airfield, and fortunately no issues there. Got the airplane down. We had shut the engine down as a precaution as we were coming into land to make sure we didn't damage the engine if possible. But I was willing to sacrifice that engine to ensure that we were getting on the ground safely, to make sure that we were fine and go from there. And short of that, that's probably one of them. I'd say one of the more unusual stories. I have been fortunate to fly quite a few celebrities, and unfortunately, my company won't let me name drop anybody.
Of course not. Right.
But some celebrities that have been quite nice and whatever else to be able to see and see people in person. And I find that a lot of them truly are comfortable in the airplane setting because they're away from the public, and you get to see the other side of them. And some are great. Some other ones are just, they're like, which I understand. They're just, I'm tired. I want to be left alone. So just, you go from there. So I simply just say, that's fine. If you need anything, let us know. Otherwise, we'll be up front taking care of you, and give them, of course, the briefing as far as how long it's going to be, any weather or delay issues. And of course, it's a quick safety brief. And then we go from there.
Yeah. I mean, hey, I'm not a celebrity in no way, but having read enough stories and what the media shows us as to what celebrities have to go through with like paparazzi,
Correct.
Either polite fans or the other extreme, craze fans. Yeah, I get it. They want that sanctuary that you're providing them to get from A to B, whether it be their concert tour or their red carpet, participation. So that's interesting. That's very interesting.
It is.
Yeah. So Brian, more question, two more questions, but let me ask this one first.
Yeah.
What would you tell your 25-year-old self what you now know today?
I would say probably be a little more aggressive in getting back into flying a little earlier than I was, because I wasn't sure of the market. So for that 7 years, I was taking the hiatus, and stick with probably the private side of the aviation until you're ready to make the jump to the commercial side of packages, because I've had lots of offers, of course, and kind of debated it, kind of gone from there. But obviously, we're in a volatile market as far as the airplanes go. That is the one unfortunate thing, is that with airplanes, especially private airplanes, is that anytime the market outside, as in the financial market, starts to move, then a lot of people go, okay, well, we don't need to have this airplane anymore, so we're not going to keep it, whatever else. So it's a lot of ups and downs, but just stick with it. That's the biggest thing, is just to stay the course. And ultimately, I think I will find what I want, and I'll end up being happy about it and going from there. But I spent a few sleepless nights out there wondering if I should really be doing this or not. And I think if I could tell my 25-year-old self that, just no matter what it is you choose, stay the course.
You know what? I like that short message and the lesson that you are sharing with the rest of us. I completely agree.
Thank you.
Stay the course. It's so apropos given your business.
Yes.
Yeah. You have to stay the course. And it's all about, in whatever business that we're in, stay the course, commit to the actions, to the outcome that you want, right?
Correct.
Yeah. Perfect. One last question, and then we'll have a few words from our sponsor today. Absolutely. When you are not flying 50,000 feet in the air, 1,000 miles per hour, et cetera, what else do you like to do?
I get to spend time with my family, and I'm fortunate to have a boat. And so as a result, I use those skills that I have now, of course, to constantly evaluate the situation and make sure that I keep everybody safe, whether they're being towed behind me on the tube or they're on the boat itself, to make sure everybody arrives in one piece, because there's a lot of people out there that are on boats that may have been drinking or just inexperienced or things like that can cut you off, et cetera, whatever else. So just like being in the air, we have to keep our head on a swivel and be paying attention to our situational awareness to the point where I know what's going on, or I anticipate what somebody's going to do, and make sure I'm staying away from them if necessary to keep my family safe.
Yeah. So you're the guy that we all need, whether we're flying in the air, flying on water, and we get to call you captain regardless.
Yes, unfortunately, that's true. No matter where I'm at, I'm a captain.
All right. So before you leave, let me now pause and share a few words from our sponsor today. So 1 second here.
Sure.
Audience members, courtesy of our sponsor today, thank you for listening to today's episode, as all of us learn more about what it feels like flying luxury in a private charter jet from the words of Captain Brian Hunnell. So in that spirit, for those of you audience members who may have served in the military, who are now employed in the business of aviation, whether it be commercial and or private charter, when and if you need help financing your real estate transaction, reach out to Planet Home Lending. Just like Captain Brian Hunnell does, we'll get you home. So as we wrap up, all right, Brian, as we wrap up, thank you so much.
My
for
pleasure, Mr.
squeezing
Chair.
me into your schedule.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate the time.
Yeah. So as we wrap up, let's both of us wave a simple goodbye to our audience members. There you go.